Hello everyone, this is East Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. Here we are, literally just saying that we weren't going to summon on the CYL banner, and then I thought to myself, and I was like, wait a second, Thorin's a green tome, and he has he has meme fodder for Nino, so ironically, we're going for Brave Soren today. We're gonna try to go for 2 copies. If we get 2 copies before Spark, then cool, we can pick another unit. Chances are if we only get 1 Brave Soren before Spark, we'll Spark the Brave Soren, and then we'll pick up Brave Male Robin. As we go through the summoning, I'll go through my thought process behind why, but pretty simple. If we don't see any greens, we'll go probably, honestly, I don't really know. Probably just go colorless because I don't think I'm going to be sparking for Corrin unless some really dank CYL circumstances happen during our summoning, but probably not expecting that. So we're budgeting roughly 200 orbs here. Shouldn't take that much, totally in theory, but we'll see. But yeah, Soren has quite a bit of fodder for shenanigans for Nino. Of course, Flare is an upgrade off of Noontime, and it's just basically one way for Nino to actually do damage. Because the problem with running Noontime on Nino is that, well, unfortunately, we don't have the capability of getting any damage output out of our special. It just heals us maybe if we do damage, which is the big problem. Okay. Great start to the summoning session, new hero. Focus charges means, I mean, plus speed's not bad. He's got attack speed ideal 4. I don't really care about menace in 2023, but you know, certainly a thing. Clearly, we're just gonna build our focus charges up to 3 before we actually get the spark. That would be silly. But yeah, Flare, if we're below 60% HP, aka Vantage range if we want to do those memes, then we can heal up to, oh, we get a guaranteed 30% max HP heal, which is pretty solid, not gonna lie. It does most of the time, it will kick us out of Vantage range, so there is anti-synergy there, but most of the time if we're above Vantage range, we are still reasonably bulky in an Ether Raids context. Speaking of Nino, here we go. Another plus 10 Nino in the works, Kappa. But we're still pretty tanky, we just are not as tanky against brave weapons and super disadvantageous matchups. Like, Nino can actually face wall some red units, single attacks from some pretty hard hitting red units, which is more than I usually can say about Nino. He's gotten to the point where we have, after the Dragon Flowers increase, we have 70 HP, and from a practical standpoint, assuming the opponent is not running lulls or some sort of way to screw over our support options, like with feud or whatnot, he gets, I believe, 70 defense enemy phase, which is pretty funny. It's, of course, not actually, in reality, you know, there's units that have lull and units that screw over our support, so it's not always the case that Nino is that bulky for the memes, but it is a thing, so that Flare is funny. Of course, magic null follow-up, we already have null follow-up on Nino, so it's just an alternative if we want to run null follow-up in our B slot to open up our seal slot. Then we can have some way of dealing with some generic damage reduction. It doesn't really solve our problems because as good as having damage reduction is, if the foe still say has, I don't know, effectively 80% damage reduction, having it to 40 is great, but they still have 40% damage reduction, which in this meta is still reasonably solid. It's not ideal in this meta, but it's still solid, so yeah, not the greatest for us in that respect, but okay, a crud ton of greens. Sure. So we run into the scenario where, well, I don't know if we're ever gonna actually use Magic No Follow-Up on Nino, but it is certainly an option. And then, of course, the real gimmick we're using is, of course, the trick that I've been mentioning so many times. Foddering, so we're gonna fodder Male Soren to Rearmed Ophelia, and then we're gonna fodder Rearmed Ophelia to Nino. So that way we can inherit Special Spiral 4, Magic No Follow-Up, Flare, and Times Pulse 4. I forgot to mention Soren. Wait, Soren up Times Pulse? No, Ophelia's Times Pulse 4. That's what it is. What's his C slot? I don't even remember. Well, so far, so derp. I mean, to be fair, it is a standard 3% banner, so that's a thing. Oh, he does have Times Pulse 4. But, you know, Ophelia also has Times Pulse 4, so that's a thing. I didn't think this through quite right. Well, this is awkward. No, yeah, that's right, because we're inheriting 3 skills already, so we have to get specifically Times Pulse 4. I've already foddered Times Pulse 3 to Nino from Lift. It's because I had 2 extra copies. I was just like, yeah, we're not really going to use them for fodder elsewhere. He does have Tempest, which is cool, but realistically we don't use Tempest. And distant counters, distant counter. So, yeah, worst comes to worst, we regret our life decisions and whatever, but I don't think we will. So the meme idea going forward is we could try, I don't think it's feasible given the super heavy brave weapon nuking meta. We could try not running Vantage on Nino. And then we run Special Spiral 4 with Times Pulse 4 with Flare on Nino and see what shenanigans we can pull off with that. I don't know what to think of that, but we do get our first Brave Soren, which is cool. Completely neutral IVs, we'll take it. Seems solid. Our pity rate's again way too low. To be fair, in this particular instance, our best case scenario is pretty good because our best case scenario would be picking up a copy of Brave Male Robin, but that's beside the point. Of course, Brave Soren as a hero, the assigned decoy potential is very dank. Of course, we have his actual potential as a unit in combat is definitely going to fall off over time, and his 16 defense is not going to really help him out even though he gets some damage reduction. But yeah, as a potential support option going forward, at least he has assigned decoy. Granted, it is at start of turn shenanigans, so we all know where this is headed. And of course, if you use him on Ether Raid's defense to whatchamacallit, use him on Ether Raid's defense as a unit to help, well, for one, nuke, but also to set up assigned decoy. There's a small nuance that you have to deal with, making sure that the enemy or the opposing player can't manipulate your unit's defense stats so that assigned decoy goes to the wrong unit. But most of the time, the disparity in defense, visible defense stats, is so large that I don't think you'll have a problem there for the most part, but it is something to think about, because I can say for sure in my time of trolling in Ether Raids that you can definitely manipulate some skills, especially like when the opening type skill came out where you have, or like for example, Legendary Elwood where you want your units to be sharing the same attack stat, you can definitely manipulate that to do some strange things and not have all of the foes get all the buffs and whatnot. So I don't think that's too big of a deal though. Here I think we just go colorless. For us, Golvig is the lowest priority, just because for us personally, it would mostly be fodder potential for Flared Sparrow. Definitely totally balanced skill right now. I'm sure it'll totally balance itself out later, Kappa, as we get more Divine Vein shenanigans. But getting all that free chip damage is totally balanced. It's almost as balanced as when you get Bolt Tower to go off on units that aren't protected by On Guard. Totally balanced in every way. So, I mean, there's Wings of Mercy for counterplay nowadays, but, you know, it's a super rare skill, only on Legendary Hinoka, so there's that. And then, of course, but going back to Golvig, we just aren't... I'm not keen on her because, one, she doesn't have any special acceleration manipulation at all. So you can just check guard, or have guard somewhere, and she's not proccing any of her specials, which in this meta can definitely be a problem. Although we have seen units that can win matchups without specials, top Lucia, but of course Lucia is not completely top of the meta because she's stuck to her stats, essentially. The best support you can do is of course like bonus doubler from Legendary Elwood, and I don't know, like Resonance Blades and Shields from say Dual Asker, and of course Legendary Male Robin for grand strategy memes. But yeah, other than that, she is just on her own to fend for herself, and that's not really ideal. But of course, as a potential hit and run or modern Gale Force unit, especially being a ranged flyer, you can of course combine her with Legendary Hinoka, get some really strong range. Unless of course upcoming Gatekeeper Refine, you know, I don't know how strong he's going to be post Refine, but I'm sure he'll see use, because mobility in this game is ridiculously important, and especially segueing into Brave Male Robin, you have some real teleportation there with Tip the Scales. Just casually, he can just casually teleport next to any ally within 5 spaces, which, given the map size of most maps, that's essentially full map range. Not quite, but it's pretty up there. You can do some real jank things there, but Brave Male Robin as a unit, I'm sure he'll be fine for a while. His big thing is of course being able to have that null guard, aka tempo. It really just is tempo, what am I saying? And having the capability to pierce damage reduction when he procs a special, which is really nice. Of course, proccing special is not always trivial, but if you can get him to have a brave weapon attack, that could be a thing. Although, of course, then with Tip the Scales and a Rally Spectrum here, then it's not as ideal because he only gets the single quick impulse, 1 cooldown, decrease if he has the brave effect. But yeah, as a support, Rally Spectrum is insanely strong just because it's an unconditional +5 to all stats, except for the small nuance that it is considered a bonus. So some units nowadays are taking advantage of foes having bonuses. I mean, the kind of sort of an older unit, but still relevant as Duo Shamir, counting those bonuses and penalties. I don't think that's quite right, but you get the idea. It's tied to a bonus, which is not necessarily bad. Heck, pairing Brave Male Robin with Legendary Crom and Duo Asker seems like bonus land for legend or stat land for Legendary Crom. Seems good, man. And of course, it's Crom and Male Robin, the perfect duo. Anyways, their duo has, in this meta, definitely not aged particularly well, but yeah, Brave Male Robin, of course, is damage output, especially if you can set him up to proc Ignis, whatnot. You can also stack a lot of dealt damage. Comes with attack speed finish. First, that +5 dealt damage, and then if you're running Ignis, you get that +10 from Gambit. Gambit is definitely a very interesting B skill in the sense that you get guaranteed damage reduction at the cost of you're forced into certain specials if you want higher damage reduction. So there's that trade-off, but it's more consistent than, say, trying to have more speed than the foe. And of course, well, Deliverer's brand also has, I forget if I mentioned it, but it also has that adaptive damage if he's using a defense-based special, which for most people's purposes is Bonfire Ignis, which is definitely a thing. So that's definitely helpful for some matchups. It won't help against the super tank matchups most of the time, because if you're super tanking, chances are your bulk's pretty balanced. But if he's up against, say, I don't know, Brave Dimitri, who has a significantly lower res stat, even if you try to patch it up. If you try patching up his res, then you sacrifice his defense, which means he has less damage reduction overall. And there's all sorts of trade-offs there. But yeah, of course he has his own 40% damage reduction, which is nice, but it's not perfectly ideal. Of course, because it's only on the first attack, but it's what you gotta nerf units somehow, Kappa. But Rally Spectrum in of itself, I think, is going to be pretty solid just because of that support. Especially with the special cooldown. The stats is, of course, you can never have too much stats in 2023, am I right? But having that special acceleration is huge. Again, as an example, you have Mr. Legendary Crown here. You run Deadeye on him. You have Times Pulse, you drop that Deadeye to cooldown, and then you get, since Crom doesn't come with he doesn't come with a brave weapon effect, and he doesn't have slaying in his weapon, then he gets his Deadeye ready to go, and that's just a solid combo for him. Because one of his problems still nowadays is he doesn't have any way of bypassing guard unless you hard tech tempo, or if you want to run, I don't know, what is it called? Flashing Barrel or whatever that skill. Okay. How to build up focus charges much? Clearly we should whatchamacallit. Clearly we should keep summoning till we max out focus charges, Kappa. That's dank, I guess. I don't even remember how focus charges work, because we've kind of never done it before. I don't know if we want it to happen, but I suppose if it's within the next 7 summons, then I wouldn't mind, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna sunk cost fallacy, try to break our pity rate kind of deal, unless we end up... Again, I don't remember how focus charges work. I can't remember if the next summon is a guaranteed 5-star, or if it's the next 5-star you get is a guaranteed. Well, it's guaranteed to be the focus unit. I just don't remember how it works because I don't pay attention to the change log anymore. 10 out of 10. And then of course we have brave female Corrin, who is, well, a stat ball potato with damage reduction, debuffs lots of stats, and of course the Divine Vein gimmick, more survivability. I don't really know what to say. All I can say is based off of my preliminary matchup against her. Well, wait, okay, we're just pulling new units all day long today. Minus attack is not great, but not the end of the world. But yeah, she's a real stat ball. As far as I'm concerned, if she doesn't have armored flow, she immediately becomes a mad tier unit just because damage reduction piercing is too powerful against her kit. Armored flow is really what keeps her alive in those matchups, and even then she can still get one shot, which is pretty absurd. But that is because for her BST, she sacrifices base stats to bulk for actual speed and attack, of course. So there's that. But overall, she's debuffing a lot of attacks, so if you're trying to deal with her in like Arena Assault Plus, have fun doing it 7 times if you get unlucky. Tactical retreat for the win, am I right? Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to deal with 7 maxed out Brave Corrins, female Corrins, on top of the other units I'll be facing against. Like if there's dual Asker, if she's paired with like dual Asker, legendary male Robin, that's probably already a grim look for an Arena Assault Plus matchup for me. I don't really know if we can deal with that. Just saying. And then of course, you could also chuck on Brave Male Robin as well for Tip the Scale support with Rally Spectrum, and yeah, we got ourselves a huge problem on our hands. I don't know what we're gonna do about that, but we will worry about that when we get there. It's definitely going to be difficult to deal with that for sure. So in my opinion, she's basically a very complex stat stick that will age okay, but definitely will drop off from the meta unless somehow people really make use of the Divine Vein, which, to be fair, it's pretty strong in that it helps you against AoEs, and the damage reduction when foes specials by 10 during combat. To my understanding, I haven't seen people do full testing, but I'm pretty sure it's like equivalent to Shield Pulse or Hardy Fighter flat damage reduction, where it's just at the very end of the damage calc is just -10, but I could be wrong there. But here we go, last summon. Will we get a green orb? We do. It's time to totally pull a 5-star off the last green orb summon on 40th. It's just a Libra. Boy. Yeah, we're at the point where we're only at 3.25%. Sure, we're at 2 focus charges. We could sunk cost fallacy our way to the 3rd focus charge. It's not worth it, again, for us at this point. We've already gotten our pretty reasonable shenanigans here, so we will just go for our plan here. We're going for Soren here. And then we'll go for Brave Male Robin. So yeah, we're gonna definitely struggle to fight against Brave Female Corrins, but I just don't feel like it's a good use of my free summon free summons from CYL, and in this case our Spark. Soren, of course, 1 is for the fodder, so we need to get 2. that's just how it goes for us. But he does have assigned decoy. I'm sure we will make 0 use out of that for a while. We'll probably need to like +10 dual asker or something to make reasonable use of it, but yeah, I don't see us really using that anytime soon. Also, I just realized Flare would be kind of good on Bramamon too. Yeah. I mean, Ruptured Sky is pretty standard on him. I feel like Flare is definitely better damage output. It's just that it's 3 cooldown. So, I guess Ruptured Sky is probably still better, but the big thing is Magic no follow-up. I guess if you combine it with Times Pulse 4, then I could see Flare being okay. But you would need to double, or you have to have support to pre-charge it to 1, so... Yeah. Of course, we can always just wait for the rerun. Or a Hero Fest or whatnot, just anytime there's a Spark, if we really want it down the line, but I don't think we will. But yeah, again, Brave Male Robin, combat-wise, he'll be fine for a bit. I don't think I'll regret picking him, especially with Tip the Scales. I wonder if I would want to use him with Nino on Ether Raid's offense. That could be something interesting. That would also allow me to cover a few different other matchups that Nino can't handle. But yeah, I'll have to see. Because of course the support is a bit different than Caden's. Caden gives us guard as well, which has been really important in a lot of matchups. So I can't say that we can just replace Caden with Brave Male Robin. But yeah, having the Caden at max as well can give more stats out to Nino, but if we're gonna run something like Times Pulse 4 Special Spiral 4, then yeah, we're going to need to... We're gonna need to probably run Brave Male Rama if we're gonna do Times Pulse 4 Special Spiral 4 Flare shenanigans. I don't think it would work particularly well, because we would need to make Nino so bulky without Caden support. I guess we could chuck out a Mythic, but then she loses out on 5 HP, and that's, I think, much more of a big deal, especially with Flare. So there's that, but... yeah, we're going for Robin for support. I would probably choose Brave Female Core next, just because we don't have any real competent far save units, because we haven't built one. We just use stock kit units, far save units. But yeah, having no follow-up on her is super important. If she didn't have no follow-up, instant Garbo tier, pretty much. Because in this day and age, if you don't have no follow-up and you're trying to wall things, good luck. Especially if the guaranteed follow-up attack's still running around. But yeah, all the damage reduction, all the debuffs, because -5, -12 to all stats, and then of course -16 to attack and speed. Yeah, that adds the pseudo tankiness that definitely makes things pretty spoops. And of course the flat damage reduction and healing from Counter Roar as well stacks just super well for tanking. And of course Armored Flow is really what keeps it all together. This is what allows her to survive, for example, getting one shot by Deadeye. If she runs anything other than Armored Flow or Armored Beacon, she straight up can get one shot by a Legendary Crom, for example, which is kind of sad. Of course, Legendary Crom would have to be able to charge up Deadeye, and that's a whole other story, but she doesn't have guard either, so that's another thing. The Counter Roars, definitely, it's a kind of, if you're winning, you're gonna win harder, and it does tilt some matchups in her favor, because of course, in order to pick up the kill on her, you need to be able to have a lot of base damage, and so being able to scale your damage off of the foe trying to scale their damage up is cool and all, it's just not reliable. But it definitely just generally basically says if you try to do a lot of damage to me, we're gonna fling that damage back at you kind of deal. So overall solid unit, and of course, for us, Golvig it would be mostly more for fodder. She does have null follow-up, which again, in this day and age, if you don't have null follow-up, what are you doing? There are some units that can get away with no null follow-up, but again, she has no text against guard, no special acceleration other than the built-in special acceleration, -1 cooldown count deal. But Gold Unwinding, I don't like the HP threshold as well. Having to be above 50% HP is a huge nerf, because sure, she gets 60% damage reduction, but her overall bulk and HP is already pretty low. So after one combat, it's very possible that she's already below 50%. A lot of times I think she will be if she's getting countered. And yeah, that means she doesn't get the damage reduction after, which is definitely, or for subsequent combats, which is definitely not ideal, let's put it that way. But the granting another action after initiating is definitely pretty solid, especially when you have teleportation from her base kit. That's nice, but Flared Sparrow is definitely incredibly strong right now. We'll see how broken it is until we get some counters to it, aka more Divine Veins. So we'll see how that goes. But she definitely will hit hard. It's just that she won't always be able to get off a special, and that means she will have struggles picking up kills, especially as these CYL units start to age. But overall, pretty solid batch compared to some previous years. But before we end the video here, of course, we gotta do what we set out to do. Fodder Brave Sword. Alright. Wait, we're doing this wrong already. Hold on. We'll be back. Alright, there we go. We're just gonna fodder to the rearmed Ophelia we actually use. Oh wait, I forgot. Oh no. I have to inherit. Hold on a second here. Slight complications with the strategy here. Be right back. So I forgot we were supposed to inherit skills to Ophelia. So I think what we have to do if we want Flare, Magic No Follow-Up, times +4, and Special Spiral 4, all we have to do is inherit Special Spiral 4 from Ophelia to Brave Sorin, which is kind of jank. Yeah, I didn't think this through quite correctly. And just to make sure Ophelia still exists and that the game didn't glitch out. Okay, yeah, she's still here. That's fine. And then, oh, Sorin's gone. What am I doing? 10 out of 10. Alright, now we can go Flare, Special Spiral 4, Magic Null Follow-Up, and times +4. The ultimate value inherit that we can possibly get on Nino right now. And so let's hurry up and learn all these skills and lose all of our SP. And then we gotta learn Special Spiral 4. We got a bunch of random skills on Nino, but there we go. We got memes on Nino for the memes. I don't know how good this is going to be, but I'm sure it'll be an upgrade to what we had prior. But anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, it's Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.